All right. So, hey, everybody, and welcome to Steve Couper's podcast for aspiring real estate investors. In each episode, we connect with seasoned professionals that are industry subject matter experts and are eager to share and impart their knowledge and help us move forward in the real estate investing sphere. So today, I am super excited because for Steve Couper's podcast number 8, you're the eighth victim here. I have the profound pleasure of speaking with Father, a world traveler. He has visited over 45 countries, which is kind of impressive, and he intends to visit the ones that he's missed. He's an internet personality. He's a keynote speaker. In fact, he's the founder of Expert Speaker. Yes, our guest today is a professional speaker with over 12 years of experience. He started 5 different businesses before the age of 21. He's published 5 books, and his mission is to help you make a bigger impact by sharing your message with the world. So I think this is relevant to us as entrepreneurs. I'd like to welcome Majeed, like magic. Help me here, Mogharreban. So, so welcome, Majeed. So, well, there's a lot there, right? And I'm sure that I've only just scratched the surface, but maybe you can help me. Did I get anything wrong?
You got it right, Steve. Good to be here.
Awesome. Okay. So, public speaking, when I first met you, you were the host of a 3-day event where you were on stage more often than not. You always captured the audience's attention. You are able to maintain focus and keep us on our toes and amused. Now, full disclosure, I've stood on stage. I've actually tried to share information with large groups before, and it's sometimes terrifying, right? You can feel like your feet are cemented to the floor and you're mumbling, and it's quite a challenge. I've grown through that, and I now present to boardrooms with COOs and shareholders alike. So I actually have moved well beyond those initial stages. But I think that for us as leaders, we need to be able to engage in public speaking. It's an important part of the role as a leader, but it's equally important as an entrepreneur, because we need to exercise those skills and engage our customers. We need to entice our investors, and we sure need to negotiate deals. So I'm really looking forward to hearing your thoughts and learning more from you. So it's a long introduction, but maybe we'll have you say a few words about yourself and then dive into some questions.
Sure. Well, as you said, I'm a professional speaker, and not only have I mastered the skill of presenting to an audience, but I've also mastered applying that skill to business, sales, and marketing. So in my early days as a young boy, the skill was getting on stage for theater. And so we learned how to project our voice, and we learn how to move across the stage, sometimes make the audience laugh. And hopefully, if we do a really good job, everybody's clapping. And if we do a really, really good job, everyone's clapping and standing. We call that a standing ovation. That's like the highest praise from the audience. What I found as an entrepreneur is a standing ovation doesn't pay the bills. And what I found from the most successful speakers who are the most successful financially is they get the audience to clap and stand and run with their credit cards to buy whatever they're selling. And when I saw that for the first time, it was like magic. And I just became obsessed with understanding what is it you do on that stage that gets those buyers to stand up, clap, and bring their credit card to buy whatever you're selling. And there's so much you can do on the stage and off the stage to improve the likelihood of a speech turning into sales. So that's become my obsession, and that's become my contribution to humanity, is helping people use the stage, whether that means physically standing on a platform, or the new definition of a stage, which includes podcasts, webinars, social media, video, all the ways we can communicate. But sales is 100% communication. And leadership is 100% communication. They are almost identical. The only difference is sales involves the movement of money. Leadership is the application of psychology and communication. Sales is the application of psychology and communication. Both get people to make decisions and take action. The only difference is that sales gets people to make decision and take action around money.
Well, I got to tell you, I hear what you're saying. I believe every word you have to offer here, and I'm looking forward to understanding more about how you unravel that. I think it's actually, something that most of us are just on the edge of, but not quite over, right?
Yeah.
So you offer support to your students in generating those sales, and what is one of the things that I've read about that you offer is called a signature speech. Now,
Yes.
can you tell us what that means? What is a signature speech?
A signature speech very simply means a speech that gets clients.
Okay.
And your signature speech, Steve, would be different from my signature speech, because the speech that gets Steve clients explains who is Steve. How does Steve work with clients? What do people feel like when they work with Steve? What is Steve's process? So a signature speech is a formula that I've designed through many iterations of simplification, getting to the core of what really gets buyers to buy. And it includes stories, because stories are vivid, sensational, and emotional, and buyers buy with emotion and justify with logic. So a signature speech, as defined as a speech that gets clients, gets the audience to feel an emotion that flips a switch in their mind that says, I want that. I've decided I want that.
Okay.
The speech goes on to help them justify why it makes sense. That's the logic. So we tell stories in these speeches. We show our systems, methods, processes in these speeches so that we can increase the confidence in the buyer, so that they trust the speaker and they trust the process, and they feel that deep desire in themselves that says, I want this and I want that guy who's speaking to help me get it. That's a signature speech.
Wow. Perfect.
Mm-hmm.
So in your book, The Expert Speaker, of which I was happy, well, where are we? Happy to be able to actually grab a copy. You talk about the 5 steps to grow your business with public speaking, right? What are those 5 steps, and how do you define these as key, high level?
How do I define what?
How do you define those 5 steps as key?
Great. I'll tell you what I used to think it was. I was wrong. I used to think it was get on stage, make a sales pitch, hope it works. That's what I used to do. And I learned the hard way that didn't work for me. So these are the 5 steps. Step 1 is audience. And this is the most important decision you make in business, in my opinion. Because when I'm talking about audience, I'm talking about who do you want to be speaking to? Or in other words, who do you want to be buying from you? What kinds of clients do you want? So when you get so clear on who your ideal client is, you can speak so clearly to them that they feel like you really understand them. This is an important feeling for a buyer to have, is that the speaker understands them. So step 1 is audience, or choose who you want to speak to. Step 2 is offer. An offer is how you describe and explain what it is you do that they want to buy. An offer is an opportunity for them to solve their problem by hiring you. An offer is an opportunity for them to buy from you. Now, some people are afraid to make an offer because they say things like, I don't want to be salesy. I don't want to put people off. I don't want to turn people off. I don't want to come across as making a sales pitch. And that's because they have some sort of association to being sold to that they don't like. And they're assuming other people don't like to be sold to. But an offer is an invitation and an opportunity to get what you actually want. So if you're talking to an audience who wants what you have and you give them an offer, that's a generous act. Now, the way we explain an offer, there's effective ways and there's ineffective ways. The ineffective way is say, this is what I do, and this is how much it costs, and this is how it works, and we're gonna, have 12 components and 16 modules, and we're gonna take 12 weeks and all these kind of logistics, when really the irresistible offer is when you describe exactly what they want. And the secret to sales is the moment you offer them exactly what they want, they buy. So step 1 is audience. Step 2 is offer. Step 3 is speech. This is the signature speech. And the reason why it's step 3 and not step 1 is because we want to get clear first on who do we want as a client and what do we want to offer them. Now we can build the perfect speech that is engineered and designed for that ideal client to say yes to that offer. So we've got audience, offer, and speech. Step 4 is called stages. And stages is the idea of getting your speech in front of the right audiences over and over. Back when I started my speaking business, we called this a speaking tour or a speaking circuit. You would go from this city, next day you're in that city, next day you're in that city. Those are the stages. Now we can be on stages on screens. This podcast, that webinar, this social media video, this live stream. And so these are the audiences that you can get in front of. Now you can imagine, Steve, the right speech with the right audience and the right offer can completely transform your business, can bring you so many opportunities, so many clients all at once, could take your business, skyrocket it to the next level. So this step 4, stages, is about finding those kind of stages and getting on those kind of stages that bring you a flood of new clients, a flood of cash, and a flood of opportunities. The last step is called monetize. And it's to understand what's the most effective and efficient way to monetize your speech into cash. Some experts offer consulting, some offer coaching, some offer online courses. In your case, your monetization might be to attract real estate investors to write a big check. And that last step is how to go from the speech to the conversation, to the handshake, to the wire transfer of for the investment. So really optimizing the steps that get the money to move. Sometimes you're on the stage and the money's already moving because they got their phone out and they're clicking on the link and they're buying the thing. Sometimes the speech leads to a conversation. The conversation might lead to a proposal or a contract, and finally there's money moving. So that 5th step of the system is to how to optimize from the stage to the money moving. So finally, the 5 steps are audience, offer, speech, stages, and monetize. And for anyone listening who would like to get a copy of my book, I give it away for free on PDF at expertspeakerbook.com. That's expertspeakerbook.com. And I go into great detail on how exactly to execute each of these 5 steps.
Brilliant. Brilliant. I can see now, and maybe I'm jumping the gun, how you've acquired the nickname Majeed like magic. Is there more of a story behind that?
Well, I've got a funny name that most people never seen before. Majeed, pretty straightforward to pronounce. I grew up in California with a lot of Hispanic people. Some people thought it was Majeed because they never seen this word before. My last name, Mogharreban, it's a challenge to pronounce, or at least you look at it and you're not quite sure how to read it, right? It's not so hard to pronounce once you hear it, Mogharreban. So as a stage performer, I found often that when people tried to pronounce my last name, it didn't end so well. And just to be unforgettable, I'll kind of repeat the first name. So it's Majeed, and then magic kind of helps you remember Majeed, magic. So you're either going to remember magic or you're going to remember Majeed. You don't need to remember Mogharreban. Then I started throwing in this little hand movement, and I threw in this kind of rhythm and tone. So I'll say Majeed like magic. And when I say it like that, people, it just kind of wakes people up. And so getting people's attention is one of the things we need to do as educators, as marketers, and people have never been more distracted. So if I get on a stage and I say, hello, ladies and gentlemen, my name is Majeed like magic. People go, whoa, 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 what's this? This is something, you know?
Absolutely. 45 countries. 45 countries. I love traveling. I love to go and experience different cultures, meet the people, taste the foods, see the sights, explore the history. It's something that really is something that warms me up. But for yourself, sir, why so much? What's your interest in touring the world, and where were the highlights, and where are you going next?
So growing up, I wasn't poor, but we seemed to always pretend like there was not enough money for anything. And my mother always wanted to go on a vacation. My dad always said we can't afford it. And I didn't know anybody who traveled except there was two kids in my town. They were both the sons of doctors. And in my head, oh, doctors, they have a lot of money. That's how I was thinking as a kid. So I was thinking you got to be rich to travel, because that's the only people I ever learned of who ever went to anywhere outside of my town. And then I heard there's a thing called business travel where you don't have to pay for it. These big companies with all this money, they pay for you to travel, right? So I thought, okay, so maybe I can become a businessman and get paid to travel. And I just always wanted to, I guess it felt like something that was just out of our reach, traveling. And I even signed up. I chose the university I chose because it had a foreign exchange program. You go study abroad program, right? I thought, oh, I could just do it with the school, right? And what I found, it was just so wildly eye-opening to see how everything can be different, not just language, but culture. I went to Spain for 7 months, and it was like everyone's sleeping in the middle of the day. Everyone's taking a siesta.
Mm-hmm.
And people are having dinner at 11 o'clock at night. And people don't have house parties because kids can drink when they're like 12, and they're just drinking in the courtyards of the plaza. And everything was different. In fact, in Spain, it was funny. They didn't believe me that we had house parties because we only had them in the movies. They only saw them in the movies. But I was like, yeah, we only have house parties. I've never been inside of a bar before because have to be 21 in the States to go inside of a bar. So every difference made me question, oh, why do we do it this way? And then it made me just kind of become more curious. And when I was 18, I walked this pilgrimage called the Camino de Santiago in Spain, 30-day hike. And I made this bucket list. And one of the things I wrote was, I want to live in a country where not only do I not speak the language, but I can't read the language. So a year later, I was living in Japan for a year. Mission accomplished. Didn't speak the language, couldn't read the language. In fact, I'd be walking around outside and people would just take pictures of me because I'm so different looking from every other Japanese person in the little village I was living in. So I became really interested in traveling, and it seemed like a good idea to just go to as many new countries as I could go to. What would happen is I would always run out of money, and then I would come home and work and save money and then travel as far as I could, as cheap as I could. And then I remembered that business people could get paid to travel. And so I asked myself, what business or what job could I get to get paid to travel? And then I remembered how much I loved theater and speaking. And I heard about these motivational speakers on their speaking circuits. And maybe I could just, speak at conferences. And I joined an association of professional speakers to learn how the most successful speakers that were getting speaking engagements out of town and out of country, how they were doing it. And then over the years, I modified the question from how do I get paid to travel to how do I go to places that I want to go to and come home with more money than I left with. Because what I found is I was traveling a lot for speaking, but I was going to places I actually didn't really want to go to. I would go to some suburb of some city, and I would be at some corporate office park with all the like same chain restaurants, and it was just kind of soul sucking and not really the kind of traveling I wanted to be doing. I wanted to go, wherever I wanted to go. And by that time, you can make money online. You can have webinars, you can sell online courses, you can sell coaching. So I thought, okay, if I bring my laptop, go somewhere and come home with more money than I left with, it's kind of like traveling, profitably. And then I finally, my third version. So the first version was, how do I get paid to travel? Second question is, how do I go to cool places and come home with more money? The third went from a question to a mantra, and the mantra is called travel profitably.
Mm.
And travel profitably means I can go anywhere in the world, and with my skills, my discipline, and my business, I can come home with more money than I left with. And this breaks the idea that I had as a kid, which is we can't afford to travel. Now I have a new belief called travel makes me money. Not just I can make money while I'm traveling, but travel actually makes me money, because I believe that the energy and the creativity and the zest for life that comes to me while I'm traveling increases my energy, increases my income. So I've completely overridden the belief I can't afford to travel. Now I believe I can't afford not to travel, because it's so energizing for me. So that's how I'm thinking about travel now.
Awesome. I like it. I like it a lot. Majeed, as investors, understanding our why is critical. Understanding why we're doing something and what's our goal, that helps provide the momentum and provide the vision and clarity about where we're going and what we're trying to achieve, and then we work on the details on how to get there. And so understanding that why is one of the first challenges that investors face and need to articulate clearly. What is your why?
My why is to live an extraordinary life and inspire others to do the same. And this comes from my first book I wrote, was called Winning at Life. And it's a system for setting and achieving goals. Because when I was 22 writing a book, I thought achieving goals is the definition of winning at life. Now, as I'm a bit wiser, I realize there's some fallacy to that, because perpetual goal setting and achieving can lead to perpetual disappointment, because there's always a gap between where you are and where you want to be. You're never really satisfied with where you are. So my new winning at life definition is more be present and appreciate and enjoy this moment. However, we don't know how many more moments we get. So I have this concept of living the best day of my life, which I can do as many times a week if I wish. But if I just ask myself, what would make today the best day of my life, and really design a beautiful experience, like, this comes from travel as well. If you spend 3 days in Paris, you're going to live like 3 months in those 3 days. You're going to do this, you're going to do that. You're going to just squeeze the life out of it, because you only have 3 days. But we don't really do that day to day. So I call this traveler's mind. Traveler's mind is like, I'm only here for 3 days and I want to really soak it up. What if you did that in your hometown? Right? So this idea of living an extraordinary life and inspiring the people around me, or inspiring others to do the same, really is at my core. Now, the work that I do, it's about, one is about eradicating entrepreneurial poverty, which is the effect of someone with a big heart, so generous, great idea, and just doesn't have the sales and marketing skills to create a successful enterprise. That creates entrepreneurial poverty. So I want to help people who want to bring good to the world and contribute and solve problems for the world. I want to help them do it profitably so that they can live well. And because I know that success in business primarily lies in sales and marketing, which are both forms of communication. Sales is the form of communication that helps people make a buying decision. Marketing is the communication that helps people know that a solution exists to their problem. So working with and supporting entrepreneurs to fulfill their mission in life and do it profitably and live well on the way. That's my sort of contribution to humanity. And my mission is around living well and just enjoying the life.
Living well and enjoying the life. Who could ask
Yeah.
anything more?
That's right.
And that's been brilliant. Brilliant. So thank you, Majeed. Do you
Steve, I would love if you could share what's your why?
Why? My why is actually upstairs sleeping right now. You know, I was fortunate enough to meet my wife. She's you know, I'm third time lucky in this regard. I finally found the love of my life, and late in life we had a son. So he's 15 years old now, and so I had a change come over me as he was born that helped redirect the things that I wanted to accomplish and what I wanted to actually provide. And so I have a great career. I work in an industry that provides me with it fills my cup every day. It makes me feel good. I work with the Canadian military and providing making sure they've got C-130s to go out and fly search and rescue missions as Canadians need them. It's a very rewarding career. It's not it's not hugely rewarding financially. So my retirement goals have changed now with the son in the mix and needing to actually make sure I can get his future propelled in the right direction. Make sure that my wife and I are looked after and able to enjoy the life we want. And so my why is changed from the time I met from the time we met now to where we are, so that I'm looking at the future. My why is all about making sure that I'm supporting my family and providing that generational wealth for grandchildren to come. So
Beautiful.
This is where I'm going. This is where I'm going. Thank you for asking. And the more often you're asked these questions, the easier it is to actually articulate it. So thank you.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's been a real pleasure talking with you today. If people want to reach out to you, I know you mentioned it earlier, but if people want to reach out to you, how can they find you?
Yeah, I'm Majeed Mogharreban on social media, or you might find me under Expert Speaker. And if you go to expertspeaker.com, you'll find all the social media links there. I post quite regularly on all the platforms, little short videos that a lot of people find very helpful. So that might be useful. And for people who want to work with me, they can book a strategy call with me. It's expertspeaker.com/apply, APPLY. And I work with business owners who want to increase sales, increase their prices, and increase their respect and notoriety in their industry through storytelling, speaking, podcasts. So happy to have a chat at expertspeaker.com/apply.
That's wonderful. Thank you so much, Majeed. I appreciate your time. Okay.